So you could do 1,000 one-arm chin-ups and still not be as strong as a person with family love in their heart who can't even do a single two-arm chin-up. Family love can't be held, can't be seen, can't be touched, but it is the most real force in the world. And it's a family love that has made our guest today, Matt Cronin, one of the strongest people on earth. Side by side with his wife, Robyn, Matt had to make the agonising decision to switch off his 19-year-old son Pat's life support after he was coward punched or king hit after going in to pull his mate out of a brawl at a pub following a game of footy. Family love then drove Matt and Robyn to start the Pat Cronin Foundation with a simple but powerful mission: to create a world free from the coward punch. They empower young people to be wise when making decisions in heated and emotional moments in life. Matt's a successful businessman, a partner in a financial planning firm. He was chair of a school board and president of his kids' AFL club, but all of that business success pales into insignificance when it comes to the strength he's built alongside his wife and their kids in helping young people make wise decisions through the foundation set up to honour Pat's memory. Matt Cronin, welcome. That's a tough thing. So with everything you've been through and done in life, do you consider yourself to be a strong person?
Wow. Yeah, look, just hearing you do that intro there, Scott, I guess there's plenty of moments where I absolutely don't think of myself as a strong person at all. Where, people sometimes say to me, who are you? And, you read out that CV of my professional life and the work that we've done, whether it's been at the junior footy club, the senior footy club or anything like that. But, oftentimes when I get introduced and they say, who are you? And I say, look, I'm Pat's dad.
Good you.
Who I am.
Good you.
And, we're a family of five and we'll always be a family of five. There's myself and Robyn, mum and dad, and we've got three beautiful children. Emma's now 31. Lucas is 29, and Pat, as we say, will always be 19. But, we'll always be a family of five.
Wow, good you. Your Be Wise logo, tell us the backing on that. It's fairly obvious you look at it, Be Wise, but obviously there's been a lot of thought going into the background on it.
Yeah, there has been. Look, again, and it's a story connected to Pat in that, again, very subtly in the background there, you can see if the Be Wise is an owl. And the significance of the owl is that Pat drew that owl. And we were none the wiser about the owl drawing that he did. But the week after Pat passed away, we were presented with long-sleeve black T-shirts, not dissimilar to the wind cheater that I'm wearing now, but these were just long-sleeve black T-shirts. And on the back of it, there was this picture of an owl. And, we said to the boys, these are boys from Pat's Footy Club, we said, what's the story with the owl? And they said, look, they were, like all 19-year-old boys, they were going to make $1 million selling T-shirts and wind cheaters and things like that. And they were all coming up with different ideas of, what logos they should be using for their brand, if you like. And Pat's design was the owl. And the ironic part about it is that the boys hated it. They thought, no good. But, as it turns out, only a matter of weeks later, the worst thing happened with Pat. And the boys thought, that logo is what sums up Pat for them. And, from that perspective, did Pat like owls? I don't know that he did. Robyn loves owls. She always has loved owls. And maybe throughout our house there was a number of different owl, sculptures and pictures and different things like that. So, I don't know. We try and give Pat some credit to say maybe it was Robyn's influence that made him draw an owl, but I think he's probably looking down on it and just said, it's just an owl.
So tell us about the young fella that Pat was before that night when he got coward punched.
Yeah. Look, Pat was, as I said, he's the youngest of our three children, and he was a good kid. He's who he was. He wasn't a troublemaker. He loved his footy. Probably from the time he was born, he had a footy in his cot, if you like. His older brother Lucas, only a couple of years older than him. The two of them, always had a football in their hands, or a tennis ball, or a cricket ball, or whatever. So he was just your typical sort of, kid, if you like, growing up, just loving life. He loved his mates. He loved camping. But Pat was also a pretty smart kid. In fact, in year 12, he's pulled his finger out. He really studied hard, and he ended up with a scholarship at La Trobe University.
Wow.
Pat's aim was to become a physiotherapist. That's what he wanted to do. And he, I guess probably just inheriting him, he just wanted to help people. So, but when he was, as he was sort of going through his teenage years, he, as I said, he went okay at footy, but he obviously had some leadership qualities in that, when he was in the under-16s, he was appointed captain of the junior footy club. They won a premiership that year that he was captain. Under-17s, he continued to be captain. Real boyhood dream stuff in the in the under-16s grand final. Pat was probably, 55, 60 kilos ringing wet, typical skinny little kid from the northern suburbs of Melbourne. And in the last quarter, they were down, and he absolutely took a Royce Hart special coming in from the side of the pack, took an absolute screamer. And Pat played most of his footy in the back line, half-back flank. Didn't kick many goals in his career, and in that grand final, he's taken this mark. We're behind in the game, and you see him go back, and he says, "I'm going to kick this goal." And I'm thinking, "Please pass it." And anyway, he pinged his ears back, and he kicked this magnificent drop punt, hit the front, and you just see this image of him just jogging back to the centre as if, yeah, that's all good. That's just who I'm all. This is a team thing. Let's win the next contest. So, yeah. He was a good kid.
What a gift to leave you such a beautiful memory. Yeah. Like a memory that you can, it's not just a photo that you're seeing the whole movie. It's just wonderful.
And literally it is on a movie as well. I can share the YouTube clip with you. It's been on the footy show. If you remember the old Channel 9 footy show, the week after Pat passed away, the footy show got behind us, and they talked about the fact that we were setting up a foundation, and they actually showed Pat's mark and goal, which is pretty special for us to say that that's been seen by an audience of hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands. So he's made a difference, made an impact on so many lives already.
Straight away, yep.
So with your other kids, Emma and Lucas, do you feel extra pride with them after your family's grief?
You talk about strength there, Scott, before about me. I can't tell you the strength that Emma and Lucas have. They've been amazing for Robyn and I. At Pat's funeral, which was just because of the nature of Pat's death, we couldn't have the funeral. How often funerals are 3 or 4 days after someone passes away, and it was the best part of 2 weeks before we could say goodbye to Pat. But they had Pat's funeral at the school that he went to, Whitefriars College. They closed the school for the day, and there was something like 2,500 people at Pat's funeral.
Wow!
And both Emma and Lucas did a eulogy for Pat, and I'm still in awe when I think back about the eulogies that they did and the strength that they showed. And, look, it was, you can imagine at the time, because of the nature of Pat's death, that there was a lot of anger. And I think the tone that Emma and Lucas set that day, how measured they were, the love that they showed for their younger brother, the strength was just incredible. And I think it honestly, it helped to galvanise our community. I think it really, probably as I look back now, I haven't really thought too much about that since that day, but I think ultimately it probably formed the foundations of the strength of the foundation.
Yeah. What a strong man you are. You're just an amazing fella. And to have the strength of your other kids with you is lovely. And to have Pat still with you is, good you. So
thank you.
As far as the family now, you're all holding together, you're all strong, you're running the foundation. I know Barnaby's over here, he's got a heap of questions for you, but I could talk to you all day, but I'll let Barnaby take over.
Thank you, Scotty. Matt, thank you for joining us. I just want to ask you a bit about the foundation. You guys are trying to end one of the most vicious, violent attacks, the coward punch, but you're trying to do it through a series of intangible measures. You try and encourage kids to use an optimistic voice and empowering approach to awareness, education, and research. How does all that intangible stuff help stamp out that weakest of violent acts?
I don't know. The honest answer is I probably just don't know. But there's something about Pat's story that just seems to cut through. And I honestly, there's some things that have happened in our lives since Pat passed away that I just cannot explain. And look, the fact that I'm actually talking to you today is another one of those stories. If you remember Barnaby, I think you were introduced to a mate of mine, Warren.
Yeah, very well.
Memory, was it the New Year's test?
Correct.
And just by chance almost, Warren was there and he was talking to a mate who knew you, and here we are, 6 months later having this chat. So how can I explain that? How can I explain that we got connected with someone like yourself? So the foundation, there are these intangibles, if you like, but I suppose my approach to this, or our approach to the foundation, is that I don't want to sell fear, right? Because it could be very easy just to say, you know what, it's all about this, and do this and don't do this and whatever. But I don't know. I suppose it's the way that I maybe was raised, or the way that I've parented, if you like. But rather than sort of it's the old, I suppose, spare the rod, if you like, and try and get that positive reinforcement rather than a negative reinforcement. Because what do we see with kids when you tell them don't? What do they want to do? They want to do. Yeah. So in our minds is, let's be optimistic about this and actually say, rather than sort of focusing and say don't do this or don't do that. That's why we use the be wise. It's sort of a positive as opposed to stop this. So, and even to the extent where we say end the coward punch rather than stop the coward punch. I mean, it still means the same thing, but end is a bit, I don't know, it's not as negative as a stop.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. The power of that small, fluffy, intangible stuff in the world. I think if you can help kids realise that'd be sensational. Now, you and Robyn had a good friend write 3 storybooks for primary school kids. Does doing things like that with your wife help you guys cope with the loss of your son?
Yeah, look, I think probably everything we do does. Although, look, I probably am the face of the foundation more than Robyn, but Robyn's absolutely the heart and soul of the foundation. So, like everything at the core of most organisations, you've got to look at what's driving it. And Robyn's there. She may not say a whole lot, but I tell you what, when she does speak, people listen. You listen to the mother of someone who's lost a child. It's hard not to listen. So yeah, but things like the storybooks, they're just beautiful storybooks. They've actually formed the cornerstone of our primary school program now. Our main thing in terms of our education has been absolutely focused on secondary, but the fact is, we're getting more and more feedback from schools saying we need your help at younger and younger levels. So the storybooks were just, I guess, look, to be honest, they were a bit of an idea out of COVID when we got to a point where we couldn't go to schools, and we thought, what else could we do, and this beautiful friend of ours, Maureen Hyland, who wrote the books, she's a retired school teacher. She taught at the primary school that Pat went to. She didn't actually teach Pat, but she always knew Pat as this younger brother of Emma, who she did teach. And she wrote these beautiful storybooks that are aimed for kids from prep through to grade 6. And they don't tell the story of coward punch. They just talk about, the building blocks, if you like, that might lead to someone throwing, coward punch. Rough play, leading to throwing something to maybe then pushing someone. But, each of the books have a beautiful moral to the story. And, I think that's, again, where we get that phrase, be wise, think carefully, act kindly. If we do all of those 3 things, you're in a world where coward punches just don't get thrown.
Very true, very true. Now, given what you've spoken about your family, It sounds as though the Cronin family were pretty strong before you lost Pat. But are you surprised at how much stronger you guys have gotten since you lost him?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess one of the toughest things for us to have to deal with is that, look, Robyn and I have always been community people, and it's probably, you think back and think, well, why is that the case? I guess we're chips off the old block. My mum and dad were always involved in all the, the school things and whatnot. Robyn's, parents were involved in the cricket club that her dad played at and things like that. So maybe it was just a bit of a natural thing, I ended up being the president of the junior footy club and ran Auskick, and then Robyn ran the parents and friends at the primary school. So we were always the ones to help others, right? And I think one of the toughest things for us was to all of a sudden have people wanting to help us in our darkest hour. And, that was bloody hard, I've got to say. But, gosh, you never do. I've never done anything, with the view that we're going to get paid back. I probably just live my life by the old do unto others, and treat others as you want to be treated yourself. Never in a million years did I think that, we'd ever have to call on some of those, those favours, if you like. But people just wanted to help us. They wanted to give us a hug. We have got this box on our front veranda, which is still there to this day for people who make an order to pick up some merchandise like the wind cheater I'm wearing, right? They can do a pick up from Eltham and they literally come to our front door. And there's this box on the front veranda. For 3 months after Pat died, we didn't cook a meal. There was a roster set up to cook us a meal. And, it was a magic box. We'd go out there at about 5:30 in the afternoon, open the lid of this box, and there's this beautifully cooked meal, usually with a bottle of wine or a couple of beers. And I can't tell you how important those little things were, to us. They were intangible. We had to wean ourselves off it because we were, fed way too much. So, but it was just people's way of wanting to help us, and I guess just send just a general message, So yes, it was helping the Cronin family, but it was almost just the way of the community saying, you know what, we don't want this violence, this shouldn't happen to anyone, So quite incredible to get that level of support.
That's a beautiful message. I think sometimes people overcomplicate life, but treat other people like you want to be treated is about all you need to do. Don't be a toolbox, and 100%. Things aren't normally too bad. Matt, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm going to pass you back to Scott now to ask you a few more questions and then we'll wrap up. But thank you so much for joining us on Everyday Greatness, Matt Cronin.
Matt,
thank you.
Two questions. One is payback. Did you ever have any thoughts of payback on the perpetrator?
No, is the answer. People have asked us in the past about whether, I don't know. Look, for your listeners, there was someone caught who did it. Thank God for CCTV is all I can say. Have I got forgiveness in my heart? Not yet is the answer. And I'm okay with that at the moment. I don't want to be that way forever. But
really,
it's just it's bloody hard to. How do you forgive?
I don't think you can. I don't think you can.
Yeah, I've seen some people, believe it or not, who've been in a similar position, and they have, and I just think that I'm in awe of their strength to be able to do that. I'm a Christian person. I was raised a Catholic, and I guess ultimately at the heart of Catholicism, there's forgiveness is a big key, but you've got to show remorse in my mind. But people have asked me, well, he got the guy who did this, he got 8 years with a 5-year minimum, and he's already out.
That's it.
Yeah, and that's all he got. And you think
that's the one question I didn't want to ask.
Yeah, no, that's okay. There's no questions we've never been asked, is what I'd say. And I believe it or not, I'm sort of at peace to a degree with that, because that's all the law allows. The law sucks. Right? At the end of the day, the law sucks. Don't get me wrong. I don't agree with the law. The law is absolutely broken, and it needs fixing because the laws just don't work. But the laws are not written by the judges. The judge did his job. It's up to the politicians to change the laws. And that's what I'm working at, as another side project, if you like, to get the laws changed to get better outcomes. But it wouldn't have mattered how long he got. Even if he got double that, it wasn't ever going to be enough.
No.
So my only solace is that he's got to live with the fact that he did this for the rest of his life, and that's his life sentence.
Yeah.
We've already been delivered our life sentence. Pat's been delivered the worst life sentence. But you know what? I absolutely haven't believed, and Robyn's the same. We know that Pat's okay. He's not in a better place. He's okay. He's at peace.
Good you.
We're the ones that aren't okay.
Yeah, you carry it forever. So have you ever, with the Pat Cronin Foundation, have you ever considered combining or aligning with other youth groups like Marslew? Do you know Ken Marslew from Enough is Enough?
I've had some awareness of the work being done there, but look, I guess we loosely call it a coalition of the willing, if you like.
Yeah.
There's some amazing organisations, and I think in your notes to me you mentioned Ralph and
the Kellys, yeah.
Kellys, and Robyn and I have met with the Kellys, and we think we got dealt a bad hand, but my God, did the Kellys cop an even worse hand than us
twice?
And 100%. That's it. They lost two sons. I know Stuart wasn't killed by a coward punch, but he was killed as a result of the coward punch that killed their first son, Tom. And it's just dreadful. So, look, we're open absolutely to working with others. I think that's where the united voice can be a better thing for us. Danny Green does a bit of work in this space, and we've got open communication with Danny.
Gee, that's good.
Things a little bit. We go about things with a little bit differently to what Danny does, and that's okay. So because we might appeal to a slightly different audience that Danny does, but as long as we're on the same team.
So have you noticed a change in the mood or a change in the awareness of the youth today? Have you seen a change in them, or is the crime still happening?
Look, no doubt the crime's still happening, it's a bit like the road toll, I guess. We look at it and say, well, what's an acceptable number? From our perspective, an acceptable number should be 0, and that's where we want to get to.
Exactly.
Are we there? Are we there yet? No, we're not yet.
Matt, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a sad story. I can only wish you well in making the Pat Cronin Foundation make a difference. We've got to also thank the ARA Group for being our major sponsor for the 6th year in a row. And thank you all for listening. We hope that we've helped you be proud of just being an everyday Joe or Joanne Baker Donuts. Hey, listen to Everyday Greatness next week, where we'll be talking to Tristan Smith, a young man who used to get nervous and awkward when just being himself. But now he's the CEO of the Mitchell Youth Leadership Forum, a group that tries to help young leaders get ahead by just being themselves. We hope you can join us for that one. But if you want to find out more about the show, then just go to Everyday Greatness page, barnabyhowarth.com.au. That's Barnaby, B-A-R-N-A-B-Y, Howarth, H-O-W-A-R-T-H, barnabyhowarth.com.au, or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or LinkedIn. Hey, thanks again for listening today.